Hi, my name is Michael Morgan, and I am the CEO for Center for Bone and Joint Surgery. Now, my job as CEO is to always look at the possibilities to enhance revenues for the practice. And due to a brief discussion I had about a few weeks ago with our physician assistant who shares time at the Boynton Beach location and our Royal Palm location, I think I found a way for us to increase our revenue stream, and that's by switching from a standardized x-ray system that prints the image to a digital x-ray system that sends the image right to a monitor within the exam room instantaneously. Now, to further explain, let me first start by going over our clinic, or as we like to call it, the racetrack locations. Out of the 12 locations we have in Palm Beach County, one has digital x-ray, that's our Boynton Beach location, and the other 11 have standardized x-ray systems. Every clinical session is broken into a half-day interval. Every physician team does about 8 half-day intervals on a weekly basis. These half-day intervals are maxed at a certain amount of patients that can be scheduled based on how many the physician can see to their specialty. So how much time they can spend with the patient determines the maximum that we can schedule for that half-day. And those templates are normally maximized at about 25 to 35 patients per half-day. Now, this is where my conversation with Rick Morks came into play, because the way we always start off with the patient before they're examined, we always take them from the waiting room directly to the x-ray machine, perform a scan, print the image, or in Boynton Beach's case, send the image to the monitor, and then the patient into the respective exam room for the physician to see the patient. So Rick was complaining to me about the server in Boynton with the digital x-ray. Now, the server we use is another practice server, so we would have to get our own. It would be very cost effective to get our own, and it just lags because the way we have to log in to their network. But today was especially bad, and Rick was complaining that it took him as long to see an image from the digital x-ray in Boynton as it did for him to see an image from the x-ray that the Royal Palm facility that he works out of half the time. And I thought, well, wait a second. It seems like we have a bottleneck process right off the bat when we see a patient. What if switching to digital x-ray improved efficiency and workflow throughout all of our locations? What if we could all of a sudden see patients in a less amount of time, have them out the door quicker? We could see more patients, increase revenue. So first we did analysis on how much time is saved with the digital x-ray compared to a standard x-ray. Samantha Levy, our x-ray manager, and myself found that the digital x-ray saves 2.5 minutes per patient. And I know some of you are looking at me like I'm absolutely crazy. 2.5 minutes, that's nothing. Well, let's just say on the low end of a template, the patients are only maxed at 25 in that half day. That starts to add up. Actually, 2.5 minutes per patient, 25 patients in a half day provides over an hour of saved time. We can see a significantly more amount of patients, at least 2 or 3. So now that we know that it can improve efficiency for the practice, let's examine the costs. Well, first, obviously, we have to get the machine. We quoted out 2 different vendors, Mary X-Ray, which is a pretty highly regarded X-ray company within the area, and B&J X-Ray, who we've been working with for 15 years. Great, strong history with them, great communication between Samantha Levy, the clinical manager, and their repair and maintenance team. As you guys know, when the x-ray goes down, it's right back up and working again. Very credible when it comes to support. Both vendors quoted in about the same price. B&J actually about $700 less when support was factored in as well. So we decided it's best to go with B&J X-Ray at $60,000. Well, with taxes and the interest on, because we would be financing an equipment lease, it's another $8,000. Then we have to bring in our own server. In doing that, we looked at 2 different server systems, actually packs, Novarad packs and Clarity packs. Now, Clarity came in at a significantly cheaper price, but they have a poor reputation for support. And as we saw with Rick Morse, when there's a lag with the server, we need quick support, or all of a sudden that improved efficiency on the last slide no longer exists. And our IT staff was very adamant about going with the better support pack server, and that's Novarad. Well, Novarad's overall cost is $35,000, and keep in mind, even though we're throwing this into the analysis, it's a one-time cost for all of the x-rays, not just the one x-ray. With financing and taxes, it's about $3,400. And when we put in this digital x-ray, yes, we have our own x-ray rooms already in the racetracks, but we would need to do a build-out of some sort. And in quoting a few different vendors, the price was roughly $6,000. We're not going to go with a direct vendor for all of our build-outs because the timing is going to change. When we actually can put one in, it has to be to a tight window. So we're going to use a variety of different contractors. But the total cost is roughly $113,000 for this project, for the first machine. So what are the intangible benefits? Well, we saw the tangible benefits. We know the cost. Intangible benefits, obviously, improved clinical workflow. Modern technology. Patients love digital x-ray. They love seeing the image on the screen because the physician can zoom in, zoom out, show them exactly what they're talking about. And we deal with a lot of elderly patients. Also, the modern technology is great for recruiting young physicians. Enhanced views of the x-ray. As I mentioned earlier, the zooming in of the x-ray is available. The other cool thing is the x-ray will give the degree and angle of a cut, a tear, a fracture. And also, if we have a physician getting a total knee replacement or going to perform a total knee replacement for a patient, it will give the exact measurement of the size of the implant, which is phenomenal. Installation. Now, I know this is pretty detailed, but I just want you to get a picture of what would it be like if we decided to go this route. Well, it's a 3-week process, and no, your clinic is not shut down for 3 weeks. That's not what we're saying at all. The first week essentially is what I call the go week, the planning week. Once we have the approval and we know what site we're going to put our first machine in, we need to order the machine. It takes about a week for delivery. We also need to arrange with the contractors. We then need to figure out logistically where we're going to move the clinical session for that Friday when we go down. And I'll get into that in 1 second. So let's flip to week 2. The very end of that second week is when clinic is going to be affected. Only half of our clinics are open on a Friday afternoon, and that's when the clinic would essentially go down. So we'd have to move those patients over. We'd have to contact all of those patients, tell them the new location they'll be going to. That's because it's when the build-out begins. The build-out will essentially go through Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday we'll be testing with the network. We'll also put in the x-ray on that Sunday. Monday morning clinic will also be moved to the same location or an open clinical location somewhere else in Palm Beach County, and we'll have to inform the patients that we're doing that because that's when all the testing will occur. That's when we make sure the server's up and functional with that individual unit. What are the risks? Well, obviously, as I first stated, we have to switch over from the Boynton location server to the new server. We have to keep medical records for 7 years. We lose access to the old server once we cut off the payments. All those images on that server will be destroyed. So we have to be 100% certain we pull every single one of those images to our new server, or we could face critical legal issues. Clinical culture. Well, we've essentially completely eliminated a bottleneck at the very beginning of clinic. What about the other staff members beyond the x-ray tech who all of a sudden have to maybe see more patients, do their job a little faster? We could end up seeing bottlenecks down the line that hopefully the clinical managers will stay on top of and we can improve. What if a delayed installation happens? I just mentioned, okay, we're going to be moving patients on a Friday. What about the Monday patients? What if all of a sudden we have to move the Tuesday patients and the Wednesday patients? We'll pretty much just have to cancel clinic and we'll lose that entire day of revenues. So finally, now that we've gone over the benefits, the improved workflows, the costs, the risks, I'd like to end with a financial analysis. Well, we know what the cost is, as we know that we have an extra hour per half day, per interval session of a clinic. That hour alone, say we just saw 2 more patients. Each patient average is $120 per office visit. Those 2 patients would bring $240 per clinical interval session. Remember, we have 8 of these in a week. Over the 5-year lifespan, almost $500,000 is generated. Now, I use a 5-year lifespan because that's the amount of time the financing is for the equipment lease. What is our ROI on that? 338%. What is our payback period? How long will it take us to essentially generate enough revenues to cover the cost of the machine? Just over 1 year. Thank you.